Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lily. Lily lived in a small village with her parents and her grandmother. Lily was a very happy girl. She loved to play with her friends, go on adventures, and listen to her grandmother's stories. One day, Lily's grandmother told her the story of a magical tree that grew in the forest. The tree was said to be home to fairies, and it was said that if you made a wish on the tree, it would come true. Lily was very excited to hear this story. She had always wanted to meet a fairy, and she was sure that if she made a wish on the magical tree, it would come true. The next day, Lily decided to go to the forest and find the magical tree. She put on her favorite dress and packed a picnic basket with her favorite snacks. Lily walked for a long time, but she finally found the forest. She walked through the trees until she came to a clearing. In the middle of the clearing was a tall, beautiful tree. The tree was big and full of sparkles. She was sure this was the magic tree. She walked up to the tree and closed her eyes. "I wish I could meet a fairy," Lily whispered. Then, Lily opened her eyes and looked up at the tree. To her surprise, there was a fairy sitting on a branch. The fairy was very beautiful. She had long, flowing hair and big, blue eyes. She was wearing a dress made of flowers, and she had a pair of sparkly wings. "I heard you make a wish," the fairy said. "What did you wish for?" "I wish I could meet a fairy," Lily said. The fairy smiled. "Well, here I am," she said. Lily was so happy. She had finally met a fairy. The fairy and Lily talked for a long time. They talked about everything and nothing. As the sun began to set, the fairy said she had to go. She gave Lily a hug and then flew away. Lily was sad to see the fairy go, but she knew that she would never forget her. She walked out of the forest and back to her village. Lily never forgot the day she met the fairy. She learned that if you believe in something, it can come true. Once upon a time, a little yellow furry monster lived inside the socks with all the other socks in a drawer. He was a very happy monster, and he loved to play with his friends, the other socks in the drawer. One day, the little yellow monster was playing hide and seek with his friends when he accidentally rolled out of the drawer and onto the floor. He was very scared, and he didn't know what to do. The little yellow monster crawled under the bed, where he stayed for a long time. He was afraid to come out, even though he was hungry and thirsty. Just then, a little girl came into the room. She saw the little yellow monster crying under the bed and she picked him up. The girl placed him back in the drawer with his friends. The little yellow monster's friends were so happy to see him. They hugged him and told him how much they missed him. The little yellow monster was so happy to be back with his friends. He thanked the little girl for helping him, and then he went back to playing with his friends in the drawer. Once upon a time, there was a poor farmer named John who lived in a small cottage with his wife Mary. They worked hard. One day, John was working in the field when he found a strange old pot. The pot was made of a dark, shiny metal. His wife was just as curious as John, but she was also a little bit scared. They both tried to open the pot, but the lid was stuck. They placed the pot on a shelf in the kitchen and forgot about it. A few days later, they were running out of food. They had no money to buy more, and they were starting to get hungry. John remembered the pot in the kitchen. He tried to open it again. This time, the lid opened easily. They were amazed to see that the pot was full of food. John and his wife were overjoyed. They realized that the pot was magic. John and Mary used the magic pot to feed themselves and the other villagers. They never ran out of food again. Once upon a time, there was an old woman who lived alone in a cottage in the woods. One day, she was baking gingerbread cookies when she had an idea. She used the leftover dough to make a gingerbread man in the shape of a little boy. The old woman put the gingerbread for baking and placed it on window side, but the gingerbread man was impatient. He jumped off the windowsill and ran away into the woods. The old woman chased after him, but he was too fast for her. The gingerbread man was so happy on escaping. He saw a fox who offered him to sit on its back so the fox can help him cross the river. But when they reached the middle of the river, the fox stopped swimming and said that I am going to eat you. The gingerbread man started telling the fox a long story. The fox got so sleepy that he fell asleep. The gingerbread man jumped off his back and ran away and returned to the old woman. The gingerbread man and the old woman lived together happily ever after, and the gingerbread man never forgot to be careful of sly old foxes. Once upon a time, a new grocery store opened near a hometown and was getting a lot of attention. Nearby lived a young woman who had a little baby. She decided to take the baby on a day out in the new grocery store. The baby got all excited on seeing so many sections in the grocery store to look around. In the very first section, the baby saw a lot of bright red apples which were looking at him with happy and smiley faces. In the next section, he saw cute round eggs which made funny faces and made the baby laugh a lot. The mother took the baby to explore some more sections of the grocery store. Next up, there were cartons of milk all around in the milk section, which were enjoying and laughing. At last he saw the stuffed toys section where fluffy stuffed toys were playing with each other. After spending the day in grocery store, the baby got all happy that he saw so many things in the grocery store and went home happily. There was a mouse who had no home and no food. He used to wander all day. While roaming around, he used to see a clock tower and always wanted to live inside it. One day, he was roaming around at midnight and decided to enter the clock tower, but the doors were always locked. He kicked the house in anger, and suddenly there was strong lightning from the sky. The doors of the clock tower opened. He was amazed to see a beautiful room inside with all the furniture. The table was filled with lots and lots of food to eat. He got all happy and decided to live there. The mouse found his new home in Magical Clock Tower with all the food he needed and lived in there forever.